Hey, we are here with the Unblinded Real Raw role play, where we say that influence is a superpower, and here's where you learn it and actualize it, and most importantly, with integrity, what you do with it to make the world an even greater place. Like, that's what's present for me. Vivian, what's present for you?
Well, I know that today we have these gentlemen that have unconscious competence up the wazoo. So I'm really excited about this influence off that's going to take place.
My goodness, what a team and the judges. So who do we have for today?
Well, we have Henry Rinder, more than 30 years of public accounting experience, CPA at Mullen Advisory, serving on the executive committee, certified in financial forensics as a fraud examiner, and is accredited in business valuations, has been accepted as an expert in these fields by the state and federal courts in New Jersey, New York, Florida, and has been testified before those courts.
Amazing. Henry, how are you?
I'm doing fabulous. Thank you for asking, Sean.
Yeah, and most importantly, do you have any idea even what the heck we're doing here?
Nothing at all. I just got invited by Krista to join you today. I thought this was going to be something of a glass of wine. All of a sudden, it's turning out to be a serious conversation.
It's a very serious conversation. And who else do we have today? So Henry, welcome and thank you. Who else do we have today?
We have Bob Bianchi, founding partner of the Bianchi Law Group, one of approximately 250 attorneys in New Jersey that is recognized as an expert in criminal trial practice by the New Jersey Supreme Court. Frequent legal commentator for multiple national TV media outlets. He's an expert in police practices and has handled numerous civil rights cases.
Bob, welcome, brother. We have like people from TV, green room meetings. We'll talk about that in a second. But Bob, welcome, and how are you?
I'm doing great. Living the dream, Sean. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. And how about yourself? Is it like, what are these guys doing here? Is there a little bit of that that's present?
Are you asking us?
Yeah, for you. Is there a little bit of that present? Like, what are we up to here?
You know, I know a little bit about what's going on, Sean. I think it's an amazing concept, and I love how you bring the integrity, piece into this and the mastery of the mind, because that's something that's right up my alley. I've actually been doing a lot of lecturing across the country on how to live a joyful and grateful life. I started that when I was the county prosecutor. People thought I was out of my mind when I was doing it. So I really love what it is that you're doing here, and I love this format.
Yeah, and you were county prosecutor, which is, for those from around the country and the world that are not aware of that, that's a big deal. So Bob was a tremendous leader as the person that was enforcing the laws. It was Morris County, Bob, is that right?
That's right. Yep.
Yeah, Morris County. So thanks for being here, man. I
appreciate it, Sean. Thank you.
Yeah, and then we have some incredible judges as well for today, Vivian.
I know you were just talking about the green room. So we have Dan Geltrude, founder of Geltrude and Company, known as America's Accountant.
Dan, what's up, brother? Best-selling author of Positive Financial Karma and a friend. And by the way, the guy that was able to go through the morass and the total insanity and following his beautiful guidance and tutelage was able to help us get our PPP money in the second round, because we did not get it in the first round. And I was not pleased, Dan, because it had nothing to do with you, but we we mistakenly didn't work with you in the first round. And thank you so much, brother, for all that you're doing.
Thank you, Sean.
And Dan, you know that we're like the real raw role play and what's up with Unblinded, things are going well. When you start having people on the real raw and they're like, hey, do you remember we were in the green room at Fox? Like that's progress, Dan. Would you agree?
Absolutely. Stepping up our game.
Man. And real quick, so, and only for the sake of Bob, Henry, and the other folks that this is a little bit new to, would you mind telling your 20-second story of what you used to think of me and what you think of me now?
I used to think Sean was totally full of shit, and now I believe everything he says.
Dan Geltrude, shooting straight. I love it, brother. I am deeply honored. And can I just ask you this? What was the transition that made you go from like, he's totally full of bleep to like, I believe in what he's saying and to do?
Well, it was a little bit of a process where things that Sean was saying were actually happening. But I think the Unblinded event in January was the tipping point for me, based upon how many people he put in the room and the people that were on stage. I actually came to the complete landing of this guy is for real. That's when it happened for me.
Well, I know you're for real, and I knew it before you knew I was for real, but thank you, Dan, that we're here now. I love you. So Vivian, who else do we have?
We have Anil Gupta. He's a world expert on relationships and fulfillment, mentored some of the most famous celebrities on the planet, including Mike Tyson.
Oh,
I'm
way.
wondering, was that before or after the ear incident? Anyway, he's been a guest speaker with Richard Branson on Necker Island, and he has appeared at Harvard, a guest speaker on Fox News, best-selling international author of Immediate Happiness.
Amazing. Anil, thank you. And I want to make sure I pronounce it like optimally. It's Anil?
Anil is perfect.
Anil is perfect. Thank you. Can I ask you this, Anil?
Yeah.
What do you think about our traditional educational systems and what are their opportunities for growth? Spoke at Harvard, incredible accomplishment. I was a Columbia undergrad. What do you think we could do to lead to more happiness, fulfillment, unlocking of potential for human beings in our more traditional educational dynamics?
So Sean, you know what the greatest gift you can give your children is?
Yes.
Give them the ability to handle life by throwing adversity at them that they can reasonably handle. Kids nowadays are entitled. We don't give them adversity. We handle things for them. They don't know how to handle situations. This is the biggest mistake we make as parents. We have to throw adversity at our children. We have to make them think outside the box. There is no box.
Sean, can I jump in on that, or are we allowed to do that?
Yeah, of course. Go ahead.
You know, it's so funny because I noticed that when I was the county prosecutor, that there were so many juvenile cases that we had, children that were at risk. And we would try to bring the parents and a whole collaborative team together. And it became so clear to us that the problem wasn't the child, it was the parents refusing to accept accountability, trying to keep them from any kind of adversity and how to deal with adversity in a healthy way. And I always wonder what's going to happen to these kids when they get older and when real life hits and they haven't developed those coping skills. So I agree with that completely.
Yeah. Well, Bob, thanks for, yeah, Anil,
I'd like to share, I mean, we probably don't have time now, but I'll share an exercise with you. If you share this exercise with your family, it'll bring more awareness, more confidence, more self-respect, a beautiful exercise that your whole family will benefit by. It'll change your life, I promise you. And it's a 3-minute exercise.
You know what? How about we do this? I totally will do this. Anil, would you stay on after we finish the role play and we do that as a conclusion? I'm on.
Absolutely.
And you hit me right in the heart and soul because the number one value and priority for my entire life, personally, has been the well-being and future of my kids. And they are 16, 18, and 20. I love them to death. I'm super proud of them. Thank goodness their grades have been terrific and they're happy. And they've been very involved in sports. And I built my business around coaching all their sports teams and things. But as you said that, being in integrity, the first thing that popped for me is I think I've robbed my kids from facing adversity in some real ways. So that hit. So I'm looking forward to the exercise. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Awesome. And certainly last but not least, we have a rock star coming up, Vivian, one of my favorite humans on earth. So who do we got?
Well, she won my heart over at Unblinded because she was dancing it up on stage. So that's her side gig. She's a woman empowerment coach, public speaker, YouTube creator, Amazon bestselling author of Limitless, which is co-authored with Chris Crone. He head facilitator at Limitless. Her mission is to empower women and a few brave men to break the mental, physical, and financial molds of society and become self-made.
Marianne, how are you? Welcome.
Thank you so much, Sean. I'm blessed and highly favored. Just feeling really, really wonderful to be on a Zoom call with such amazing talent. And more than that, people with such amazing integrity and beautiful hearts and trying to just make this planet better as we go along.
Yeah, Marianne, we've shared the stage together. We've been a part of working with, tons of people at different times. And every time that your presence, that I'm in your presence, it is an honor and I get so fired up and it just makes me happy. So thanks for being here, Marianne.
And same to you, brother. I'm so happy to be here today. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, awesome. So now with all those nice things said, Bob, Henry, everybody watching, what this really is what we just did for sure. It's taking remarkable and incredible people and connecting them. Like that just happened. And it's also helping to unlock and teach from the brilliance of these fine folks to you, to me, for all of us to learn from each other. And also the participants can learn some stuff too. Because what I with humility believe, and I've learned this, and I'm sure Bob could speak to this for like hours on end, is that no matter how much we know and how much we learn about influence, and I've had the privilege of being involved in being lead counsel in 2 top 100 national jury verdicts in a short period of time, and they were both in business breakup cases where we were told we couldn't possibly win. We had mock trial people who said you'd be lucky to get $1 million. We got 27 million and 33, which our clients more than deserved in those situations, had 8-figure punitive damage awards. And what I learned in those processes was how much that the work and the growth, not only of my own skill set, but the application of my skill set and the work and the intensity to unblind people to the truth was utterly critical. And had we done a couple of things microscopically different, those giant numbers would have been 0 in a heartbeat. And in fact, brilliant, incredible national level trial counsel, or at least leading state trial counsel on the side in both cases, they were 100% confident they were going to win. And the only differential was microscopic. But those microscopic differences led to like blow away results. Like if you were scoring those trials, they would have been about 130 to nothing if they were football games with incredibly talented people, very close sets of facts, because minor differentials created exponentially different results. And that's what the real world role play is all about. So Henry and Bob, are you up for a little bit of fun?
Let's do it.
Yeah.
I'm here to have fun. Let's go.
All right. So here's how it works. Judges and Henry and Bob, in the first round, what we're doing, we're really we're actually bifurcating one 6-minute conversation into 2 3-minute sections. And so each of you go for 3 minutes in the first half of your conversation, influencing Vivian. And then Vivian's going to be like, hey, I got to take a call like in halfway through this. So I'll give you a 1-minute warning before I can grab the call. And then we pause. And in the first round, what you're attempting to do is to connect, to open Vivian's listening and to access some relevant pain in her life connected to what you want to talk about, right? And the second round, it's going to be satisfying that pain with your heroic, unique identity and getting to a yes, right? Now, so in the first round, you get to set your scenario. So Bob, Henry, it's whatever you want. And I'll just give you some examples. It doesn't have to be that Vivian has a criminal problem and Bob's coming in. It could be that Vivian is a director of a TV show and Bob wants to come on and talk and be amazing as he is on television. It could be that Bob wants to co-author a book with her. It could be that Bob wants to do a speaking engagement and Vivian's got a stage of 10,000 people and he'd love to come on and share what he does. And again, it could be he's recruiting her as an attorney to his firm. It's whatever yes that's relevant to Bob he feels like talking about today. And same thing for you, Henry. It could be forensic analysis in a case. It could be a speaking engagement with other amazing attorneys, putting a webinar together, whatever it is for either of you, that's up to you, right? And you have the choice that you could say what the scenario is up front, the yes you're seeking, or you could keep it to yourself as long as you tell Vivian who she is, and you can leave Vivian exactly as who she is or make her into anybody that you want to. Henry, Bob, does that make sense? Do you have any questions about the scenario? And we'll tighten things up a little bit, who's going first, what's gonna happen next. But so far, do you have any questions?
Not yet.
I'm good.
Oh, awesome. These are, Vivian, I'm sensing some very high Zeus level certainty from these incredible people. You feeling it, Vivian?
I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it.
So with that said, Bob, physically, where are you located today? Like county and state? Bob, are you there? What county and state are you in today, Bob?
Yeah, I'm in Morris County, New Jersey. That's where I was the prosecutor in Morris County.
Awesome. And Henry, where are you physically right now?
I am Morris County, New Jersey as well.
Oh my goodness, we've never had this before. So physically, which one of you do you think is closer to Paramus? Like we'd have to know like what town are you in?
I'll say Bob is closer. I'm in New Vernon. I'm in the middle of Harding Township.
Okay.
Yeah, I kind of stay away from those comments since there's a number of people that have been trying to find that out for a while, Sean.
Okay, so we'll go with Bob is closer. That's amazing, right? This is Vivian. Are you having fun, Vivian?
I'm having a ball.
All right, so me too. So all right, so we'll go with this. Since Henry, you're further away, I have a number 1 or number 2 under the desk, like flipping a coin. What do you think it is? A 1 or a 2?
1.
It's a 2. So Bob has won the toss, and he can elect to go first in the first round and then keep his choice in the second round. And Bob would know a lot about the importance of these things, I think, and I think you might too, Henry. Or Bob could elect to go second in the first round, and then Henry will have choice in the second round. So you want to go first in the first round and keep choice, or go second in the first round and give the choice in the next round to Henry?
I'll take first, Sean.
All right, so Bob has elected to go first, retain choice in the second round. And Bob, who is it that Vivian's going to be in this scenario?
I like Vivian to be a socioeconomically high-level person, corporate official who's been charged with a very serious crime.
Whoa, Bob's going right at it. This is fun. This is like my favorite scenario yet. On Real Raw. Bob, thank you for that. That's fun. So you got that, Vivian?
I am a criminal, apparently.
Yes. Well, or maybe not. You're accused.
Not if you retain me, you won't be.
And Bob, we don't want Vivian on the jury either, because she thinks accused equals guilty criminal. So Vivian, we need some help there. All right.
Okay.
Yeah, Vivian, are you ready to go?
I'm ready.
Okay. So 3 minutes. Bob, you're on the clock. Vivian, let's go.
So Vivian, listen, I really want to appreciate you coming into the office. I know this is very difficult. Nobody really comes in to see us because they're having a great day. But I want to let you know that we're here for you. We want to talk to you about what your issues are. We're going to go over them. And there's always a way to try to navigate a situation, both legally and something that we really pride ourselves on in our office is helping the whole person too. Constellation of resources and things that we can do to navigate you as you go step by step through this daunting process. So I'm just curious, before I start any consultation, it's more important to me that our relationship as people is really the foundation of what we're doing. And at the end of the representation, whatever that may be, that we walk away having bettered one another. So I know you're scared and you're nervous. Tell me some of the concerns that you have.
Well, my public image has now been tarnished, and I'm terrified of that. I have employees that now are feeling that they should be looking for another job. So I'm starting to lose grip with my employees, and my sales and my books have gone down as a result of everything that's happening. And I just lost 5 speaking engagements.
Yeah, Vivian, listen, you know, we have lots of people that come in here as a former prosecutor when we prosecuted people. Now, when we are aggressively defending them on criminal cases, you know, we often talk about the idea that it's not so much the case itself, but what we call collateral consequences. That's kind of like what you're talking about right now, especially with people that have a high visible public profile like yourself. Reputation is so important, the fear and humiliation of being charged, and you're worried about your family and how they're going to respond to it. And of course, you're worried about your finances. Is that what I'm hearing from you?
I'm even getting threatening phone calls. Yes, that's what you're hearing.
All right, well, listen, that is going to happen, and that's the nature of the beast. But I can tell you one thing. I have represented so many people in my career with certain strategies that we can employ beyond the legal stuff. That's easy for us. But we need to get you into a place where we come to acceptance of that and we move forward, because I found that there are clients that do 2 different types of things. They either go down a chasm very quickly into self-defense.
I have to go on a Zoom call.
Okay, you want to do that now, or do you want to call back, or?
I have about 45 seconds, so I'm really scared. So I'm curious to see how you're going to help me.
Well, we're going to take 2 tracks to help you. The first track is we're going to look at the legal case to see whether or not the government is able to prove it, to what extent. And if so, we're going to go into mitigation strategies with regard to that. And the secondary thing, which I think is most important right now, is working on the mental states that we can put you in emotionally, so that while you're going through this process, that you can understand that life can go on, life will go on, and you will get past this. And to me, that's very important for you, Vivian.
Thank you. Time's up.
Very nice job, Bob. So Bob, how did that feel, and what's present for you?
You know, Sean, what's present for me is that, of course, the limited time period is that when we do these consultations, it really is in the DNA of our law firm. My dad is a lawyer. I'm a 2nd-generation lawyer. I've been reading transcripts since I was 7 years old. And what I normally would be telling a client is lines that he's told me, which is that every day as trial lawyers, or as lawyers in particular, but especially criminal, when people are standing to lose so much, that we can make their life better, take the bricks out of the backpack, let them breathe a little bit easier, both in how we approach them in terms of resources, but also making them feel confident that their legal representation is going to be there. They're hard-hitting, they know what they do, and that they're going to have their back irrespective. We never guarantee outcomes, but I want that client to feel that we care about who they are as a person. And so I was able in that short period of time to try to get that message out in the present.
Awesome. Thank you, Bob. Vivian, one word, one sentence. What's present for you? One word and then one sentence.
Overwhelmed.
Okay.
And I just felt like, you know, I felt certain that he had my back, but at the same time, there was just a lot of benefits being thrown. And I just felt even more terrified of what was happening to me at that moment.
Okay. So we'll go on the second end. We have a lot of minor distinctions that I think we're going to open up. Bob, feedback from round one from me. Your certainty is extraordinary. Your articulation, your emotional energetic transference off the hook. I think in the second round, we'll talk about, or after the first round, a couple of minor distinctions to even open up the listening a hair, and then to change nothing about what happened. Maybe just add something in that will open up the listening in an extraordinary way. So you open to that?
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, dude, like amazing. I am not confused of who you are. Thank you for that. And thank you for being open to have feedback and sharing. And that's what we do here. So awesome. So Henry, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. Henry, what's the scenario? Who is Vivian?
So Vivian is a graduate of Columbia, undergraduate. She's got a Harvard Law School degree. However, she married another student at Harvard who's also a lawyer, and married him, had 4 kids with him, gave up her career. She's at home, living in Summit, New Jersey. She caught her husband cheating after 15 years and decided that it's time to go. And so she's in my space, in my office, seeking forensic support.
Amazing. And what's the yes that you're seeking from her, Henry?
She's going to retain me to investigate her husband's financial dealings.
And Henry, I'm predicting that you're predicting it's not going to make her husband happy if she hires you. Is that what you're predicting, Henry?
100%.
Awesome, brother. All right, Vivian, you ready?
Ooh, this is juicy. Yes.
Yeah, 3 minutes. Drop on in. Go.
Hi, Vivian. It's very nice to meet you. And, you know, I spoke to your lawyers and I understand that you are contemplating a divorce, but there's a lot of financial issues at stake. So tell me a little more about what's going on in terms of your finances in the marriage.
Well, I'm in debt because I still haven't finished off my loans. And I have 2 small children, 10 and 12 years old. And I've noticed that my husband's been acting very oddly. And I noticed that some of the payments were late for our mortgage. I've noticed that he's got a new car. And I was tinkering around his computer and I noticed that I saw him looking at a bank that I never heard of. So I don't know if he's transferring money from one account to another. And I'm feeling really scared right now. Like I'm feeling vulnerable.
So Vivian, you know, when I spoke to your lawyers, they mentioned that your husband makes $1.6 million a year. And how is it possible that your student debts are still not paid off?
Well, we have separate accounts and we always kept things separately. And I always insisted that I wanted to be an equal partner. That's why we went to law school and Harvard, and that's how it began. And I mean, I'm treated nicely. He puts a little bit of money in my account, but he, for the most part, has taken the reins on most of it. I guess I fell asleep at the wheel.
Not to worry. Since you're here, I might as well explain to you that under the law, all of the assets that you've accumulated during the marriage are subject to equitable distribution. And although he's earned the money and you stayed home, the law looks at it from a perspective of what's equitable to both parties. So you have equal rights to those monies that have accumulated, and you have equal rights to his income that would be subject to consideration for alimony and child support. But from that end, you mentioned that he set up an account that you were not aware of. And so there's a chance that he has dissipated money and he had hidden money. There's a possibility of that. Do you know anything about his sort of life outside of your marriage? Like, what was he doing? Like, where was he spending his time?
Well, he's been going to the country club, and they go to fancy resorts golfing. And I know that sometimes he goes to write because he's been writing a book off to Maine. And so I know he rents out a house and some space in Maine. So that might be something.
And as far as you know, since your lawyers mentioned that you caught him cheating, presumably he must have been spending your money as much as his money on his girlfriend. Wouldn't you think that that's a possibility?
Yeah.
Have you seen any evidence of that?
Yeah. I checked.
Go ahead. What did you see?
I saw car rentals. I checked the phone records, and I've seen the phone calls. This has been going on for about 7 months now.
So again, just to clarify one item, dissipation of assets, the money that he's spending on his girlfriend, if he's buying her Louis Vuitton pocketbooks and taking her to fine vacations, there would be a claim for half of that money as belonging to you. And we would have to quantify it, so then you would get a credit for it.
I have to take this call right now, but how do I get in touch with you again?
So obviously I'll give you my card, but your lawyers have my contact information. In addition, on my card is my cell phone. And frankly, if you want to talk to me after hours, if the time comes up that you need to talk to somebody, I'm always open to you. You can always call.
Excellent job, Henry. Henry, what is present for you? How is that?
It feels natural.
Yeah, awesome. And Vivian, one word, one sentence.
Amazing.
One sentence?
I felt his level 5 listening was extraordinary.
Okay, so excellent. So let's open up a quick access, and this could go either way, either for Henry or Bob in the approach. What Vivian means by level 5 listening, to everybody tuning in, is what Oprah said is the reason she held the microphone for 30,000 people. I see you, I hear you, and what you say matters to me. And the ability to have the person, first of all, to truly step into that space and loving people. And Bob, I was so impressed by your approach to the world now, your holistic approach in the speaking engagements that you do nationally, television appearances, and how you communicate with your clients. It was extraordinary. And I mean that, and Henry as well. And I'm very grateful for both of you being here and excited about getting to know each other more deeply. So a quick thought on how we unlock, I see you, I hear you, what you say matters to me, is Bob did such an amazing job right up front. He said, listen, this is what it is. You're here. It's never a great day. Confronted the situation in the present. So fantastic. We meet in the present. Then an access point for opening emotional rapport, opening the listening at a deeper heart level. Because we talk about rapport at 3 levels. There's surface rapport, there's real rapport, and there's emotional rapport, appropriate emotional rapport with boundaries. And the way we create that depth of heart connection is by getting to emotional rapport. And it begins by the present and then going backwards. So a couple quick access thoughts. So, hey, by the way, Vivian, how again did you find our office? I said all the things up front. Boom, boom, boom. You're here. It's not fun. It's terrible. Can I ask this though? Because we work holistically on the person. So we're going to talk about everything going on and how overwhelming it is. And I'm guessing, Vivian, you're in a lot of pain, upset, rage, potentially, really deep feelings right now. Fair?
Fair.
Yeah. So would it be okay though if we went back a little bit just to understand a little bit more about who you are?
Yes, please.
Yeah. So where are you from originally?
I'm from Brooklyn, New York.
Okay, awesome. And tell me a little bit about you, like up till today.
My parents owned grocery stores, and so it was this modest living, so we never went without. And then I eventually got enough scholarships and was able to go to Harvard and get my education to become a lawyer.
Extraordinary. So by the way, congratulations on, it sounds like very humble beginnings and extraordinary. I mean, getting to Harvard, I mean, you're talking 0.0001%er. That's miraculous. Congratulations. And can I ask this? How'd you do that? Like, what was it you think that got you to Harvard? I mean, your grades were insane, but anything else on top of that?
I followed my parents. They worked hard every day, and I knew that I didn't want to be poor or just have the life that they had. I knew that I could represent people in this country that were immigrants. I'm from Spain and Dominican Republic, and I wanted to be a champion for that. And having seen how hard they worked, I knew I had to work hard but smarter.
Yeah. So in this situation, if you face these charges, right, how do you feel about them? Like right now in the present, walking in, what are the feelings you have about these charges?
I'm overwrought.
Okay. And if everything goes the way that you would hope, like magically, aspirationally, and I cannot guarantee that, and I wouldn't even come close to it, but if everything works the way you want it to, where do you see your future? Like, what does it look like? And obviously I know this works out, but what does your life stand for? Who are you as you see yourself into the future?
I see raising my children and having them become the most amazing citizens that will go out there and live with integrity and hopefully be at their weddings when they get older. And I'll be alongside them, making sure that maybe we have a law firm that we can pass on to them as well. And maybe that's something they would want. And it would be a new legacy that we'll create for our family last name.
Okay. And finally, I know you got to take this call in 30 seconds. When you're seeking to have an attorney representing you against these charges, what's most important to you in helping you make the decision of who's right for you and your future?
What's most important for me is that the person really understands that I'm an honest person that is in this position, and I want my integrity to remain intact at the end of this.
Okay. Assuming somebody, last 10 seconds, assuming the person believes that, your attorney believes that, what characteristics are you looking for in them?
I want them to be winners. I want them to be the best of the best. I want them to be diligent and thorough and caring.
Okay. Listen, I'm hearing you. You've overcome incredible odds, being born in another country, going to Harvard in this country, and facing accusations that are untrue. After you take your call, I'd love the privilege of sharing a little bit about my background and who I am and how we might work together. Is that fair?
It's fair.
Okay. So present for you, Vivian.
That really, it turned the table a lot on me. I had to really dig about, what was important to me. So I thought that was amazing.
Okay. So all I would say to everybody listening out there, that when we're in, we talk about a sequential process of going from hello to yes with folks. And the first stage is about hearing them, like acknowledging Harvard, how? Another country to today. So we're stepping into the space of I see you, I hear you, what you say matters to me. At depth, we're identifying clearly what's at stake, their future, the pain. So there's a future vision that's now at stake in the middle of what we're talking about. And then uncovering a little bit about what they're going to be looking for from me before I move into now sharing my background, because she shared hers. Now, Vivian, do you feel ready to hear my background?
Yes.
Okay. So Bob, any access points there that make sense, or how do you feel about that?
Yeah, no, it feels fine. It feels great. Yeah, very good.
Okay. Yeah. Henry, any thoughts?
So I'm listening to it, and it's really top notch, Sean. Although I feel that it's like orchestrated somewhat, as I'm going through it, I'm sensitive to it because I'm an investigator. So I'm listening and I'm following the agenda, and it's like, yeah, I'm following this path to get to a conclusion. And so I would be more on the fence. I would be more on the fence if I was the recipient of that inquiry.
Awesome. So Henry, could I ask you a question?
Sure.
Yeah, I appreciate that feedback. Just for a second, where are you from originally?
I was born in Poland.
My goodness. Okay. So, and how did you come? How old were you when you came to the U.S.?
I was 15. My dad was already in America. He was a business owner. My mom was a business owner as well.
Okay.
And
they were business owners in Poland or here?
both.
Okay. And so what was, obviously you grew up substantially in Poland to 15. What was that like?
So I was born into privilege in Poland.
Oh, beautiful. Awesome. And so what was it like having privilege in Poland?
It's different. You know, it was during socialism where a lot of people were not living a good life. And because we were a family of business people, it was sort of a different experience for us, I thought.
So were you aware of it when you were in Poland, or you just like look back on it and feel that way about it?
I think I was aware of it as a child, although I didn't focus on it because it was just the natural experience of being a child, being a teenager, growing in those circumstances.
Yeah.
But now when you go back and reflect on it, I see it for what it is.
Yeah. And how did you feel like growing up there? Was it fun, nice, not like what was the feeling of growing up in Poland? In a person of privilege, in a socialist situation, how did that feel?
Well, it was an okay experience, but as soon as I stepped onto the land in America, I never wanted to go back.
Wow. And why was that?
I don't know. I don't know what it was.
Henry?
I totally loved the experience.
Henry?
Yes, John?
Okay. How do you feel about our conversation right now?
I feel very open and very engaging.
I did the exact same thing with you. I just did with Vivian.
Okay.
So my point is, ready? Here's the key distinction. That's why I'm so happy we're doing this. And Bob and Harry, thank you for being here. Ready? The key distinction is I care. Like, I will never forget, Henry, that you were born in Poland. You're born in privilege. I want to talk more about it. Like, I want to learn what that was like, because a gentleman that does a lot of work with me was born in Poland probably around the same time, not in privilege. And he has an extraordinary amount of pain. So I'm super curious to learn more about what those experiences were. I loved hearing when you moved to this country that you set foot on this soil and never wanted to go back, even though you were born in privilege in Poland. So what that's saying to me is there was something immediately accessible here that you felt was not accessible there. And I love this country. And I'd love to know more about it, because I think so many times people forget that. So I think your life already in a minute and a half, I've learned stands for something remarkable as an example I could share with other people. I've also learned as a criminal defense attorney that's running around the world, because there's all sorts of stereotypes about lawyers, criminal defense attorneys, even prosecutors, that holistically sees and cares about people. In fact, I hear his energy at such a level of depth to be a force for good in the world and make things better. It like screams from his heart. Bob, am I hearing you correctly?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So what we're doing, Henry, and if I didn't do it artfully enough with Vivian, because she was role playing in that moment, and I was speeding a little bit to demonstrate the point, I hope you just felt it from me. Because when we talk about integrity-based human influence, what we're really sharing is that it's all Oprah said, is I'm present to you. And I'm not only listening to what you're saying, but why you're saying it. And you said that you were so happy to be here in America for a reason. And like, I ache to learn. I'm like urgent to learn what that was, because you're excited to share that. And it means something to you, doesn't it, Henry?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And let's answer it for fun, like just because we all want to know.
So,
yeah, why?
So I'm a big history buff, and American history was always front and center of my interest. And the idea of the American experience of democracy and the republic, the way it was founded, and the contributions that many people made into this experience over time, over 200 plus years. So when I came out of a socialist-like structure into America, I was looking at a land of the free. I wanted to be here.
Henry, that is an extraordinary perspective to appreciate the most remarkable structure has ever been created in the history of the world, and to be present to it as an immigrant virtually immediately. And that says a lot about you. So thank you for sharing that.
My pleasure.
Yeah, that's called an acknowledgement. And it's only false and scripted if we don't authentically mean it. Because I authentically meant that. And every word I said was true. Henry is special and unique because most people don't appreciate things. So he's a person of perspective, wisdom, and gratitude. I heard it. It matters to me, so I acknowledged it. And as a forensic fraud examiner, Henry, Do you feel like my acknowledgement was genuine or not, honestly?
Genuine.
Yeah, well, thank you. And it was. And so when what this show is about the reality that somehow when we communicate with people and we think we need to influence, for many of us, not Bob, not saying for Henry, these are geniuses, but for people of integrity and authenticity, for people, and the beautiful representations of this reality, for people so often, we change who and what we are, and we become somebody different, as opposed to following the first indispensable element of integrity-based human influence is loving people unconditionally with boundaries/integrity. And that's what we're talking about. So I know, Henry, was this anything like what you thought it was going to be so far or no?
I'm enjoying it too much to reflect on it.
All right, amazing. Bob, how are things going for you so far?
It's excellent. I love it. Thank you.
Yeah, no, I'm having a great time. You guys are amazing. This is the first time we've had, I guess we had attorneys, we've had folks in the accounting space, including America's accountant Dan Geltrude, but it's the first combination of people of your stature in the attorney and accounting space that I didn't know coming in. So this has been fun. And we're doing this every single day. So this has been a really cool day for me. So thank you both very much. This is very meaningful and sort of a breakthrough day to demonstrate where we are. So, and I will not forget it. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah. So you guys ready for round two?
Yep, let's do it.
Yeah. So before we go to round two, though, we're going to go to the judges. And so each judge, and we'll start with the amazing America's accountant, Dan Geltrude. It's going to be a word of feedback and then a couple of sentences, like one word, his reaction to each rapport building session of round one. And then a couple of sentences of his positive feedback and a couple of sentences on opportunities for growth as he saw them, and then a score. So Dan, you ready?
A score based on what, 1 to 10, Sean?
Yeah, so 1 to 10 based on emotional rapport building, connection, pain access, setting up round two. Cool?
Yep.
Yeah.
So I'll start with Bob. So I thought that Bob did a very good job addressing that it was more than just coming in for a visit with an attorney, that he was offering two sides. There was the business side, shall we say, plus the human side. So I thought that there was a very good mix and a good balance there. So that was my positive feedback. Obviously it's not negative. The one area I would critique in that was, it seemed to me that Vivian was focusing in on or expressed her pain related to reputation. And Bob, I didn't actually hear you say, here's how I'm going to address reputation. I think you did it, in your overall, but I thought that was her pain, her true pain source, and you didn't go direct there. So that was my overall. So I would say on a 1 to 10, Bob, your grade with me is an 8.
Okay. And how about for Henry?
All right. So for Henry, quite frankly, knows his shit. As an accountant, I could say that in that very direct tone. I do forensic work as well. So I understood exactly the approach that you were taking with Vivian in terms of breaking it down and formulating a direction as to how you were going to help her. So I thought from a technical standpoint of displaying your abilities and that you would make sure that she was going to come out on top. I thought that was excellent. The area I would provide some critique to was, I thought you were a little heavier on the professional side and didn't actually go more on the personal connection with her in terms of addressing her pain. My assumption was her pain related to having a husband cheat on her. So perhaps you could have said, I've dealt many times with that pain of a cheating spouse and making that connection. So that's what I would say. My grade for Henry is a 7.
Awesome. And I might say there, Dan, a thought for everybody could be, as you're hearing that from Vivian, to say, wow, like I'm hearing your pain, like what's present for you, or what are you feeling, to let that expression come out, like what's underneath, like the cheating, like, like I'm hearing a lot of pain. Anything you want to share? Just giving that access point to be heard, being heard. So awesome. Marianne, can't wait to hear from you. What do you got?
I don't know if she's on.
Did we lose Marianne? Okay, let's go to Anil and let's get Tiffany, get Marianne back. Do we have a...
Neil, you're on mute.
Yeah.
Okay, he's on mute.
Yeah. Okay, sorry. So Bob, I would love for you to be defending me and serving me. You're very, very precise. You're empathetic. There's always a way. We pride ourselves. We're going to treat you as a whole person, step by step. Very, very, very cool. I trust you completely, but I think Vivian needed some compassion. When she talked about her employees, the death threats, the sales, she's terrified. I'd say, hey, Vivian, I see that you're a woman of great integrity. Am I right? Because it's hurting her, so that you're not only doing a great job, clinically you would do amazing, but she wants someone that she can empathize with, someone that she can talk to, so really, someone who's got her back. And at the end, it was really great that you were there and say, look, and this too shall pass. Because she wants this over and done with. Say, look, we have you, we care for you, we're the top law firm in the country, but we also care for you.
Right.
Is there anything that we haven't covered that you would like for us to talk about?
Okay. Gotcha.
Henry, a different tonality. Great listener. You're great at asking questions, and she has 4 kids. It's a big blow to her. She may feel that she's a Harvard grad, but how could she be so stupid? So I would probably go a little bit on the empathy side. Say, hey, look, what's the worst part of this? Is it the cheating? I see you gave up so much. You gave up your career. You obviously love your kids. You're spending so much time with them. What's the worst part of this? And how can we address that? What is it you want from all of this? It may not be the money. We don't know. But, get into her head.
Awesome. And, so,
and at the end, sorry, I would say, we've only got a few seconds left. What is the best way we need to communicate with you? And she says, oh, email, text, WhatsApp, whatever. Because she wants to be in communication.
awesome, Neil. And what do you have for scores, sir?
I would give 9 and 9.
Beautiful. Yeah, these
for different reasons.
Yeah, we've done this every day now for about 5 weeks, and those were both extraordinary performances for sure, or extraordinary rapport building, authentically done. Marianne, what do you got? Welcome back.
By the way, I heard everything. I'm not sure why I wasn't connecting, so I'm all here.
Yeah.
I've got pages of notes.
So let's go with the quick 20 seconds of feedback each. Yes.
You bet. So I'm going to start with Bob, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Bob, first of all, I feel like you're a credible human being. You know your stuff. That's what I got from you. And that I also love that you asked lots of clarifying statements. I heard lots of validating. So what I'm hearing is, and then you would say it, and then you would say, is that right?
Yes.
And I felt like that was very validating for her. Let's see. I also like that you said that we're here to better one another, that we're here to mutually benefit from our interaction and uplift each other. And that was very connecting. What I was missing was that I didn't feel like that you cared to hear about her before you cared to talk about you. And I thought that that was an element that that was subconsciously maybe a little bit off-putting. And the energy that I got from Vivian, and correct me if I'm wrong, was that she was trying to push away and sort of relieved by the call that came through, because she looked like she was ready to get off the phone. It's funny in public speaking that there sometimes tends to be a rush when we know that there's a restriction on time. The last 45 seconds felt like we were trying to cram a lot of content in rather than say, hey, you know, I understand that you've got this call. I'm going to totally let you take that. When's a good time for us to reconnect? So there were some things about just the connectivity that I had wished were there, because I believe that you have the credibility and the ability to completely support her in her case.
Yeah, awesome job.
Thank you.
Awesome. Yeah, Bob, I would say this, like 9.999999999 out the wazoo, virtual 10 with the addition of a little bit more listening to Vivian, just like letting her share. Because what I think Bob did so well is he did say, listen, I know how you're feeling. Boom, 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 boom. I think he was spot on. It's just a little bit different. I think Bob heard Vivian perfectly. Vivian could have gotten confused that he didn't, because I think Bob is so tuned in to what people are feeling who come in, right? That maybe just letting her say it, but you had it. All
it's a great point. I do know, because a lot of what's going through their minds, and the way I look at it is that I kind of want to let them know that I know what you're going through. But the point of actually letting them process it themselves and speak what they're going through, even though I may know it, is definitely a valid critique and appreciate it.
Yeah, and Bob, I think, and then you could tell them that you know and feel it. Because brother, like there's no exaggeration here. We don't know each other, right? But you could ask all these folks. We do this every day and had some of the most persuasive and influential people in the world. Iconic speakers have been on everything. The congruence, how you presented who you are and what you're going to do in the second round, I am not confused, is so tight and spot on. The depth of your listening and all the things that you addressed are all the things that would be inside somebody in that situation. Like, unbelievably. Like, one of the best, like, if you inserted the listening, that is as good as any performance that's happened in round one, right? Like, with iconic people have been on, and you're iconic yourself. So I think it's just such a minor distinction that then opens the listening to your amazingness, right? Completely. You know, so that's all. So fantastic job. So yeah, thank you, Marianne. And then, so what do you have, Marianne, score-wise?
I feel a little bit harsh. I gave him a 6.
Okay, Marianne did harsh. And what I find super interesting for everybody to be present to is that Vivian and Marianne had the two most significant reactions to the absence of listening. I felt very gravitationally pulled towards Bob. I felt like I got something that's annoying me. It's not a criminal thing, but annoying. I'm like, I want to talk to Bob about this. Like, you know, like, so I also wonder how much we're in our goddess energy, right? How much that need to be a little bit more actually heard, like physically to speak the words matters. And that's really interesting, Marianne, because Vivian said overwhelmed as well. So that's an interesting access point for all of us, you know, who are on the male side of things. So thank you for that true feedback.
And thank you, Bob, for being subject to the critique.
Oh, I love it. Thank you.
Yeah. So, and Marianne, what you got for Henry?
Henry, I really enjoyed your perspective. I feel like you offered a great perspective on the short interview that you had. One of the things that I loved about how you started off is that you asked questions. And I think that's very important to Vivian when she's coming to you. And is this, again, this back to this point of feeling heard. You did that. I felt you were very relaxed, not in an unprofessional way, but in a way that was inviting relaxation to both sides. Because whenever there's a situation that calls for this kind of a phone call, there can be tension, there can be high stress, there can be a lot of reasons to be stressed out. And you brought energetically, not with so much with what you said, but with how you felt, very calm about the situation, which felt very, very reassuring. One of the things that I did notice was actually a body language thing. I noticed a lot of head shaking no, and that subconsciously made me uncertain. And I was curious about that. And I was wondering why there was a no head shake so often. There was an air of, I want to know how much you care before I care how much you know. Meaning when you jump into the questions, I love that you did that, but the questions were a lot about finances right off the bat. And knowing that was one of her chief concerns, it made sense. But again, I longed for that connection before I put my guard down about finances. I put myself into Vivian's shoes. And if I'm gonna let my guard down about my finances, I wanna know why we wanna know this. I wanna know what the recipe is before I give you the ingredients.
Yeah. And Marianne, before you continue, I think it's also, I just want your credibility out there. Marianne speaks and sells from stage to large groups. Her and Chris Crone put on amazing events out in Utah. I've had the privilege of being out on their stage, and they're very often, groups of 400, 500 folks and more, as well as Marianne spoken in front of groups of 1,000 plus, including Unblinded. And so she's measured in the work that she's doing as a byproduct of how many people say yes and buy things and how they rate the programs. So I wanted everybody to be, who's listening in the audience out there and in replay, to understand who you are, Marianne, that you are really dialed into these elements from years of being on the stage dynamics and presenting to people. So please.
Thank you.
Yeah. So what do you have for a score for Henry?
I have a 7. And the thing that made that was just the feeling.
Yeah.
In the 5-6 years that I've been training public speaking, I think feeling is how we make decisions, and that there was a significant portion of that there.
Yeah, amazing. So, all right, this is the first time in the Real Raw that we've gotten a little bit out of this time zone. So we're a little behind. Henry and Bob, and oddly enough, we're at a dead heat after round 1, but oddly enough, do you guys have 15 more minutes to complete this, or have we tapped out your time?
No, I want to keep going.
All right, Henry, you good?
Let's do it. I'm not sure what's happening shortly afterwards, but let's do it.
Okay. Sure. So, all right. So, Bob, you took the brave approach of going first in round 1. Would you like to go first or second in round 2?
I'll go first.
Amazing. Okay. So now, Bob and everybody, getting this really clear. Okay. This is just a continuation of the first conversation. And what's really happening here is Bob is moving for the yes to be hired as the criminal defense attorney. And Henry's moving towards the yes on the being hired as the forensic accountant. So what the scoring is and how effectively you present who you are, the stories, the characteristics that pop, like how much does Vivian see her future in saying yes to you and actually saying yes, handling any objections she may have. Now, for both of you, though, you did hear that there's a little bit, Vivian shared she had a deeper connection, I think, emotionally around 1 with what Henry was saying. Bob, there may be a desire to just maybe ask a question to deepen a little bit of the emotional rapport, the listening, then move into who you are and all your amazingness and move towards the yes. So it's whatever the mechanism judges. It's whatever level you think that Vivian is like a yes at. Like she's a yes at I think she was a yes at a 9.9, like a no-brainer, or she was a yes at like a 7. So you're seeking like the depth of the yes, and it's rooted in sharing their identity and moving to the yes. So Henry or Bob, any questions?
No.
Cool.
I'm good.
All right. So Vivian, you'd be like, hey, Bob, I'm back in 3 minutes.
Okay. Hey, Bob, I'm back. I have about 3 minutes.
Hey, Vivian, awesome. Listen, when we were first talking, you were talking about your reputation and your fears of those things. I want to know a little bit more about what are you scared about? What are these threats about? What is it that you think we can do to help this make it better for you? And moreover, how much is it affecting you personally?
I can't sleep at night. I am getting phone calls at all hours, people thinking that I've done something wrong, that I'm responsible for something that I'm not responsible for. And I have my alarm clock went off accidentally, and I just had a full out panic attack. I've been told that they're gonna come kill me with a knife, and that I should be eaten by dogs, and now every time I hear a dog, I'm jumpy, and I've started to take some sleeping pills now, and it's like, this is not my life. This is not what I imagine. I have children I have to look after. I can't be late to take them to school. And it's just been a mess. I'm just.
Yeah, and listen, I mean, this is not an uncommon thing, and there are strategies. And let me ask you, there are many things I know just from speaking to you right now that you have done wonderful in your life, and that your life is not defined by this singular charge that you have here. And in our office, we try to tease that out through what we call a mitigation package in order to show the world who you really are. Sometimes we use it in a media context, but moreover, we're sending it to the prosecutors and the judges. Do you think that you have a lot to provide in terms of that mitigation package that you could provide to show this is not who you are? You did not do this. This is inconsistent with your character. I suspect you got a lot. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah.
Okay, and what were some of those things that you think are relevant to show the world these charges that are filed against you are untrue? Can you just give me a general idea of your background that would show that?
What is it that I need to have in my arsenal that would prove that?
Well, you've never been charged with a crime before, right?
No.
Right, and how about any character references? Would you be able to get them from people that you think other prosecutors and police would look at and say, wow, these people are vouching for her character?
I can do that if that's what you need me to do, but I'm quite frankly, I don't know what I'm supposed to do to prove that I'm a great citizen.
Well, that's our job. We're going to actually show you through a list of things that we have where we tease that information out for you.
I'm going to have a phone call from another person. I have to leave in about a minute.
Okay. Well, listen, I just want to say one last thing to you. As far as how we are as attorneys, you talk about those who are aggressive, those who aren't, those who've done the job and haven't done the job. When I was the county prosecutor, I think I'm the only one in the last 35 to 45 years that actually picked a file up, a murder case, and actually tried it. Now, there were a lot of people that felt that that was a dangerous thing to do politically. Other prosecutors don't do it, but I did it because I wanted to roll my sleeves up and show my staff that I would do exactly what I was asking them to do. And Vivian, I think that if you have an aggressive lawyer that's not afraid of the prosecution and is willing to fight that case, and we add to that all that mitigation evidence that shows how good a person you really are, that we can be on our way to doing a great package for you and a great representation for you. Is that something you'd be interested in?
Thank you. Yes, I'll get back to you.
Okay, well, thank you so much if you do. I'd like to get back to you if you want. I'd love to.
Bob, outstanding job. Great job. Listen, my direct feedback is this. You are tremendous, right, in the space of delivering who and what you are. You're super phenomenal at reading people and understanding where they are. I think that one little glitch was in the 3-minute time frame in this round and saying like, okay, we got to deepen the report. Vivian, it took away from the time a little bit. A little bit in that space. But like put that aside, the delivery with certainty of your story, who you are, the prosecutor, rolled up your sleeves, tried the case, extraordinary. I wish we had more time to hear that, because what I would have also suggested to everybody is breaking out. I said, listen, you know, it was dangerous for me to do that, and I did it because it was the right thing to do to teach my team. I believed in the case that I did, which is what Bob said. Fantastic job. I might have just simply done something like this to like pivot into the pain. Hey, Vivian. So listen, thank you for coming back from that phone call real quickly. Let me ask you this. I'm hearing that you're super concerned about your reputation. And obviously you would be. What's your greatest fear?
My greatest fear is that
feel the way I'm asking the question and see like, what's your greatest fear? My listening's intent. It's in depth. I'm burning to know what your greatest fear is. Go ahead.
My greatest fear is that A, I could lose my life. B, that my children will now come next and they are threatened. And
all right, pause. Do you feel better sharing? I know it's a role play, but do you feel more open and better getting off your chest your greatest fear, just saying it?
Yes.
Yeah. And then the move will be, all right, Vivian, can I explain a little bit? Listen, I'm a criminal defense attorney, and I do all the things that I do in the world because I believe that on the prosecutorial side of things, that a lot can go wrong. I was the prosecutor. I saw things that I believed in, I trusted, but I also saw the opportunity for misjudgment, miscarriages of justice, all sorts of things that can happen. And that's why I do what I do today. I'm so excited to have you here. And as you know, I lecture across the country and I'm on television, but it's not because I'm a criminal defense attorney. It's because I love people and care about people and want to truly make our justice system, which is the greatest in the history of the world, function fairly and optimally for people. And so often in our country with social media, everything going on, it's so quick that people become accused and they're guilty. And they're fighting off their back. And that's what I'm hearing from you right now so clearly. And I can't promise you're going to make all that go away. But I can promise you, for starters, you will feel protected. You will feel protected and heard by us. That's first. Second, we'll do everything we can, as long as it's appropriate to your criminal defense, to help you in the reputation side. And that becomes complicated. We'll talk about it. And third, 35 years, ... So I think sequencing it into like Vivian's listening, because that's exact, Bob, is every single word I just said to you precisely who and what you are?
Yes, exactly.
Without a shadow of a doubt, right?
No
I think these are micro distinctions. And listen, dude, this is completely made up. I do this every day in 6-minute segments. So this is an unfair game for everybody sitting in your seats. But I think a couple of those little unlocks take you from being, and let me just say this actually, because I don't think Henry and Bob have ever heard me say this. I'm quite sure they haven't. I think that right now, Bob, you're at a 9.999, like 3 nines, right? In the space of your ability to influence. That's my listening in like an hour-long consultation. That's different than what we score in a 6-minute deal, right? So that means you're in a 0.0001 percenter. But watch this for everybody listening. In the United States, and this is talking about the impact, the exponential impact of our influence. In the United States, if you're a 99, if you're in the top 1%, 99 percentile in income, you make $400,000 a year. If you're in the 99.9th, right, 99.9th, then you're making 1.7 million. 9.99 equals 7.8 million. 9.999, 56 million. Why do I always love that analogy? I love it because if we say, hey, you're going to be heard better, things are going to happen, it doesn't land objectively when we talk about like these subjective feely things. But the point of that for everybody is that the scale of mastery is about small distinctions lead to exponentially different results. So I am clear, I believe this, he's not saying, I believe that Bob is exponentially better as a criminal defense attorney because of the micro distinctions of his influence, okay, number one. Number two, if somebody like Bob, somebody like myself who have, or Henry or Dan or Neil, Marianne, all experts all over the place, masters, right? If we get 1.9 better, it exponentially grows. 400,000 becomes 1.7 million. That's 4x in a micro percentage. If we go from 99.9 to 9, 7.8 million, right? Now we're looking at another 4 to 5x number growth. So it's in these micro distinctions that all sorts of things are found. And it has been that for me, as I saw in the trials that I was involved in, the difference in the juries, last thing I'll say, and Bob and Henry, I think you guys might be able to connect to this. When we were in that one of the trials that ended up with large numbers, the first round of mock trials, we did 3 jury verdicts. They came back at 3, 4, and 5 million, right? With one set of juries. The second round, we took the feedback from the 3, 4, and 5 million mock trial. And in the second round, they came back at 17 million, 27 million, and 37 million in the second roundup. And the trial ended up in those kinds of numbers from very minor distinctions that I am very clear the other side wasn't privy to. I know, does that make any sense, Bob?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so awesome. All right, so I know we're running late, so let's get this sucker bringing home. Henry, are you ready, sir?
I'm ready to go.
All right, so 3 minutes, take it away.
Hi.
Vivian, hi. So I'm glad you are back, and because frankly, you know, I told you about some of the strategies, but we didn't talk about what's important to you. So what is important to you?
My children are the most important to me, and I don't want this divorce to go and create such havoc for my children. But I'm also afraid that I'm not going to financially be able to secure a future for them. My dreams of going back and opening up a law firm that I might possibly pass down to my children is not there. And quite frankly, I'm just really hurt right now.
So what is it that you think we can do to help you with some of these issues?
I guess I want security.
So I already mentioned to you that the law provides for significant considerations of your income and your husband's income, of consideration of the assets and how they get divided, and the child support is considered and your support is considered. So it seems to me, from where I'm sitting, your husband makes enough money to provide for your children and to provide for you. And if you want to open a law firm, I think there'll be assets that we can identify that you're going to get a distribution from. And perhaps they can address that need. But I wanted to mention this to you. You know, we have a team of very top-notch forensic accountants. However, we don't know it all. So to the extent that this case will require expertise that we don't have in-house, we go outside and we find you sort of top-notch professionals to help out. And you would be part of that discussion. This would be something that would be concerning you, and you would be making a decision.
I need to hop on a call in about a minute right now.
Yeah, no worries. Because frankly, you know, what is the best way to connect with you if we need to connect after the call?
My cell phone number. But you still have about 45 seconds if you wanted to share something else that I should know.
Well, what I would like to know is what concerns you about the whole process, because you mentioned your children, and I know it's emotionally draining to you. From my experience with other divorces, I've done a lot of these divorces in the past, and I know that it's going to impact children no matter what we're going to do. But what concerns you the most in that regard?
Changing the school systems, just the whole disruption of not having both parents there, and my kids are already acting out, and I really don't feel like I have control over anything right now.
What makes you think that you need to change the school system?
I have to go.
Okay. Right,
Let's reconnect afterwards.
Excellent work, sir. Henry, how are you feeling?
I'm feeling great.
All right, awesome. Let's, for the sake of time, awesome job. Let's jump right to the judges. Judges, let's go with 20 seconds of the positive, 20-second opportunity for growth score. Let's just try to efficiently process through that. Let's kick it off with you, Dan Geltrude. What do you got? 20 seconds of positive, 20 seconds of growth, and score.
Okay, so Bob definitely went into the issue of reputation and what was bothering her about that. She said she couldn't sleep and panic attacks, and he addressed that and said, here's what we could do. I thought that was excellent. And the only thing is that he didn't actually get her to the yes before the end of the conversation. My score for that was a 9, only because he didn't get the yes. As far as Henry, he asked what the issue was. She expressed that she wanted to have security. He went right there, provided it, basically talking about how good he and his team are at what they do. I thought at the end, though, he was actually rushing to get off the phone, and she brought him back into the conversation. So that was, I think he kind of cut it short when he didn't have to. And then ultimately, he didn't ask the question to get the yes or no. So my grade for Henry was an 8.
All right. Thank you, Dan Geltrude, America's accountant from Fox News. Marianne, what do you got? We'll go 20 seconds of 20 seconds if we could. We're running a little behind. Are you unmuted, Marianne?
Yes, I am. I apologize. Just
Oh, good. Go ahead.
Quiet. Okay. I'm going to start off. It sounds like you really took the feedback that you got to heart, and you started, Bob, right off. What are you concerned about? You sound like you're concerned about your reputation. You brought that up, and that tells me that you're actively listening for what's important to her. I also liked that you came across as an aggressive lawyer on her side. So it sounded like she would have a dog in the fight for her and saying, you know what, we're going to get this no matter what. So that's what I loved hearing. What I wished I would have heard was something that Sean talked about, was her ability to see her hiring you, meaning what is it that you want? How do you see this playing through? What would you like as an ideal case scenario? Using some kind of verbiage that said, what do you see yourself doing, or how do you see this moving forward, or what would you like to see, might have bridged that and created a connection there.
Mhm. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. As far as a score, if it's a yes, I actually, I wouldn't score it as a yes yet. I don't think we got there, much like the feedback that Dan gave. But as far as the approach went significantly up. I put it at a 9.
Awesome. Awesome. Thanks, Marianne. What do you got for Henry?
For Henry, again, same thing, very much took the feedback that you heard and implemented it. I think you asked what is important to you, which again, put Vivian in a position where she could see herself achieving what was important to her. Once we talk about what's important to us, we can see it. And I loved how you asked her, what do you think we can do? What would you like of us? Because that's going to give Henry a really good idea of whether or not he can show up and fulfill those needs. I really, again, agree with Dan that it was a little bit short, cut short, and there was a key word, even though it's 2 letters, that was kind of a linchpin in the opposite direction where we wanted to go. Instead of saying when we reconnect, you said if we reconnect. And I feel like, you know, if maybe we would have a possibility of saying, okay, I'm going to send you these couple of emails, some things you should read in preparation for putting this case together. Can we reconnect tomorrow at 2 or something like that? Just to give her an idea of moving forward with a yes with you. As far as the score goes, again, I would move it up to a 9 because I felt much more confident, but we were still missing that yes. But great work.
Well, thank you, Marianne. And finally, Anil, what do you got in 20 seconds for each way?
So Bob, I loved your tone. Great questions, building rapport. I would have asked Vivian something like, hey, Vivian, tell me who you are. What do you stand for? What do other people think of you? What's important to you? Find out, these will be mitigating information that you'll get. If she says, look, I stand for integrity, honesty, I'm loyal, I'll never cheat on anyone, I'll never lie. That's what you want to hear. So, Vivian, I love that because I see you have integrity. We love working with people with integrity. Absolutely love it. Thank you.
So what Anil, you're talking about is listen to Anil's aspirational vocal qualities, his aspirational tonality, like taking Vivian there. So our tonality asking the question can lead to somewhere else that we're going. We always talk about 4 energies: Zeus, goddess, aspirational, and fun. Goddess energy is love and heart. Zeus energy is energy of decision. Aspirational is what Anil just presented, and the fun energy, of course, is fun. The variance of those leads to, a depth of acceleration and rapport. So great feedback. And what'd you have for a score?
9.
Okay, awesome. And how about for Henry?
So great rapport. What's important to you? Great questions. The question I would ask is, Vivian, do you want security for yourself or for your kids? What's more important to you? And then, depending on the thing. What I see is that you're more concerned for your kids. So can I ask you another question? How resilient are you? Are you really concerned about yourself or your kids? If it's your kids, that's great. We're here to protect them. And we're here to make sure that you get absolutely what you want to get out of this so that you're protected, you're heard, and you have that connection with your kids. I've only got 2 kids. You've been blessed with 4, so I can imagine the joy that they've been given you.
Beautiful tonality, vocal quality illustrations, Anil. And score?
9 again.
All right. So this is a phenomenal roundup. So Bob, if somebody were to say, hey, should I come on the Real Raw role play? Like, what's it like and what was the experience? Give me some authentic, heartfelt, what was it like for you?
I thought it was awesome. Doing it in a short time period, a lot of the comments that were made is something in a longer, space that we get into. And like we were saying about resiliency is a big, big topic for us to talk about that. We actually hand out Dr. Brene Brown. We were trained by Dr. Brene Brown. We actually went to San Antonio. We tell our clients this so that we could learn a language that can communicate to them with resilience. We actually, no client leaves without that book. But so I love it, and listening, that part about listening more and responding to their concerns, even though I may know what they are, was very powerful to me. I just thought it was excellent. It's a great format, and anybody who is interested in learning how to do something better needs to be watching.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Bob. And I'm really, really grateful. And I got a whole bunch of things to say. I'd love to have a follow-up call if that works for you at some point.
Absolutely.
So Henry, how about yourself? How was the experience for you? And if people say, hey, should I go on that thing? What would you say?
I would say definitely. It's, life is a journey. Life is a journey of education and inspiration. And this was educational and inspirational. And I gotta say, Dan, Anil, and Marianne, you guys were terrific. I really loved the commentary, including Sean's commentary, but the one person that really touched me today was Marianne. I don't know what it was about Marianne's comments, but she got to my essence somehow.
Yeah, Marianne is a straight up rock star. Yeah. So Marianne, with that said, how does that feel for you? And what would you say to people if they're like, hey, should I be a judge on the Real Raw role play? What would you say?
If they were so honored to be in this position, I would give them a resounding yes. I think surrounding yourself with greatness is an aspiration that everyone should do. And this has been absolutely top notch. And I hope we get to do it again soon.
Yeah. My quick question, Mary, we've obviously done programs on stage together a bunch of times. How do you like this format for demonstrating what integrity-based human influence can do? I'm asking you for some feedback in light of we're trying to unlock and demonstrate to people that influence is a superpower. We have it here. You've seen it presented for hours in front of large audiences. How do you like this for unlocking some of its potential?
Sean, I've been privileged to work in what I call the pressure cooker for many, many years. It's the pressure cooker pot where we put people who want to increase their influence or speaking ability or whatever it happens to be. And for a long time, that has been a limited scenario. And I think what you're doing here is bringing that ability to grow at a fast, rapid, accelerated rate to the masses where it can be seen, where you've got credible people on here with success and results. It's actually very miraculous what you're doing.
Oh, thanks, Marianne. And looking forward to talking to you and Chris more about it. So thank you very
Absolutely.
much. Hey, so Dan, how about yourself? My dear friend, from full of bleep to like wherever you are. How do you feel about being a judge, and what would you say?
It's a lot of pressure. And the reason is because you have to critique people that are already at the top of their game. So it's not so easy. And what I would say to anybody who's thinking about being a judge, you have to put yourself in a space where you're not going to offend people, but at the same time, feel that you're helping them by critiquing them.
Yeah. And what would you say, Dan, between the difference of you're a participant and now a judge, how do you differentiate those two?
Being a judge is actually more difficult, in my opinion, because when you're a participant, you're doing what you do, and you have to sit back and judge others. I almost feel like, who am I to judge someone else? These two gentlemen are top professionals. So that's how it felt to me. It was a little uncomfortable, but you got to fight through it.
America's accountant in a beautiful moment of humility. I love this, man.
Doesn't happen often.
Doesn't happen often, but that's why you have positive financial karma. Excellent job, brother. And Anil, how about for yourself?
No, it is uncomfortable, but that's the only way you grow. I like the distinction about the 0.9 or 0.1%. And the beautiful thing about that is it's compounded. So the younger you get this, the more compounding effect it is. Einstein said the greatest force on this planet is compounding interest. He was wrong. It is actually compounding. The power of compounding is immense. So I learned so much today. It's going to compound in my life. Thank you.
Anil, thank you, because that is the work of my life, is when Jay Abraham unlocked for me leveraging time and exponential growth and how it impacts business and life. That was like mind-blowing changing. So thank you for so beautifully encapsulating that. And Anil, for anybody that wants to stay on, I'm going to do a quick sign off overall, and then I'm going to stay on, whoever else can stay on, great, and just say to Bob, to Henry, Anil, Marianne, and Dan. Vivian, fantastic job today. This was long. I appreciate you staying. Typically, we're wrapped up in 1 hour flat. This is a remarkable group of people with so much to share. And every one of you contributed so massively to everybody who hears this and to my life. So thank you all very much.
Thank you, Sean.
Thank you, Sean.
Yeah, and everybody was going to go, I understand, but Anil, please take us through. Whoever's going to be in the audience that can remain and be listened to replay, please. The stage is
This one exercise, if you have children, even if you have employees, it will change the dynamics of communication, how your children show up. So my son was 9 and my daughter was 7. So I would ask my wife, honey, what did you do today that you were not thankful? So she would say, look, I made this meal, no one thanked me. So then I would thank her. My son, who was 9, would thank her. My daughter, who was 7, would thank her. Then I would ask my son the same question. Dad, I did this homework, no one, acknowledged me. So we would acknowledge him in turn. And then my daughter would say something, then I would say something. The next question is, what act of kindness did you see today? I would ask my wife, my son, my daughter, then me. What act of kindness did you actually perform today? My son, my wife, my son, my daughter, me. And what was amazing about today? What was funny? What was, something great? So we'd go around the table. The next question is, what did you see? What did you notice? And one day my son would say something like, Dad, I noticed you picked me up from school. You gave me a hug and a kiss. I said, son, yeah, I would always do that. And he said, Dad, some parents, some kids don't want their parents to come. Never mind, hold their hands and kiss them. I said, son, I will always kiss you. Even if you're 50 years old, I'll kiss you. And if anyone says anything to you, you just tell them, my dad loves me. Simple. Because they don't know what to say. And the last question, is there anything on your mind? You want to bring up any subject? One day my daughter said, Dad, I'm having a problem at school. Great, let's fix that. Now, the beautiful thing about this exercise is this. Next day, my son, who was 9, would lead the exercise. So he has to be respectful. His level of awareness is way beyond any other person in his peer group. He has to be a public speaker. He has to be respectful. He has to be present. And he actually was one of the top speakers for Tony. He did over 1,000 talks for Tony. Next day, my wife would lead the exercise, and next day...
You say Tony Robbins, you mean Tony Robbins, correct?
Yeah. And the next day, my daughter, who was 7 at the time, would lead the meeting. So when Richard Branson was 5 years old, he was thrown in the middle of a field. As I was talking to Sean, the greatest gift you can give your kids is this. Give them the ability to handle life by throwing adversity at them that they can reasonably handle. So I wanted to do the same with my kids. So my wife said, no, you're not doing that. And I sort of said, okay. So we took them into central London and we told them to get home. That was 22 years ago. Wow. If you see them, can you tell them we live in Orlando, Florida?
Thank you so much. Bringing some final fun energy to the day.
Yeah. But listen, please do this exercise. It's incredible. Absolutely incredible. Right. I've had 5-year-olds do it.
Would it be possible for you? I tried to type the questions that you shared them. I don't know if I got them all right. Would it be possible for you to share these with us?
Absolutely. I've written articles. If you face, we'll make friends.
We're going to connect. Each episode, we connect everybody. So you guys have all of each other's
perfect.
Thank you.
Yes, of course. Thank you all. This has been a long day, remarkable. I look so forward to all of us advancing together. We do have the Unblinded Huddle every morning. Check it out, 8:30 a.m. It'll be in the chat. And the Unblinded Business Accelerator for free, launching forward of how all of us influencers merge ecosystems to make the world a greater place. That's what the Unblinded Business Accelerator is about. Thank you, each of you. Love you guys. Thanks.
Thanks, Sean.
Thank you guys.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone.